Is yours rolling?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Guys, welcome to Casanova Crew Santa Monica. It's been going on for about a year now. We've had a lot of good speakers. Arash, Elizabeth Everett, Mystery was the last one. It's a small place, but we're able to fit in some good presentations. Thanks to Jared, who's on his way, stuck in traffic right now. He set up this one with Adam Lyons, who has been working with a lot of companies before he went solo. We're going to be filming this, as you always know. For the newbies, just turn your phones to silent, and yeah, put your hands together for Adam Lyons.
Hey guys, thanks ever so much for having me. So I've just recently moved to Los Angeles, which is kind of a big deal for me. You guys obviously have been here for a while, so it's probably not a big deal for you, but for me it's huge. I've been coming here for years, traveling, doing boot camps all over, and Los Angeles kind of had my heart for a lot of reasons. One of the biggest is my film career is starting to move. A few years ago I made a statement. I stood on stage at like a big PUA conference, and I was like, hey, just so you guys know, being attractive isn't just about going out there and picking up chicks, it's about having ambition. It's about saying, I'm going to do something and then doing it. And I'm really proud that a few years ago I said, I'm going to make a feature film. And now I am in the middle of making my feature film. I have, we've finished principal photography, we're about to go into the second phase of it. And so moving to Los Angeles made a lot of sense. I'm right by the film studio, so I can keep going in and checking on how it's going. And also, I freaking love this place, so it's good to be here. The minute I came here, I contacted Jared and Nate, and I said, hey, I'd love to come down and talk to the local lair and talk about things that I may or may not be doing in the area, working out sort of like where I'm finding my feet and what I want to be doing. For the past few years, I've concentrated my teaching on focusing a lot more on really analyzing how attraction works, specifically from the point of view of teaching, not from the point of view of doing it myself, but from the point of view of helping others. And I find that's something a lot of instructors forget about. When they stand up and talk, they talk about things that work for them, things that work for one of their instructors, something they saw one of their students do. But that doesn't actually help most students get better. I think a big part of my role is I've gone beyond my own game and whether I can or can't pick up girls. I literally have got to the point where you're just like, it really doesn't matter anymore. I know exactly how to do it, when I want to do it, in as many different ways as I want to do it. And I've pulled away from the whole concept of, does it work, doesn't it work? I've done it for so many years now, it works, it's really easy, it's not difficult. And so I start asking myself, where are the problems? Why are there still people out there that can't do it? And I realized a lot of that is because most instructors teach from a point of view of, here's how I did it, you should do the same. This is how I did it, I think you should do this. Whereas I've learned that's not actually the best way to do it. Every single person I've ever met who got good did it their own way. Every student I've ever seen who became good took something from an instructor or maybe a few instructors, and then they came up with their own version of it. And that's why you see so many new instructors, right? You see so many new POAs coming out there. They're like, I'm a POA instructor. I learned from this guy and this guy, but I've got a better way of doing it. What everyone means is they've got their own way of doing it. It's not better, it's just everyone's got their own way of doing it. And so what I'm going to talk to you guys about today specifically is how do you find your own way? What is your way? What is the thing that's going to work for you? And how can you take ownership of that and really try and get good? I found that students that adopt this, who start to try and find their own way rather than following a specific guru or rather than saying I'm just going to do it in this method or this way, their speed of success goes through the roof. I mean, I've got a student right now, and I tell you not, he used to be a member of this particular lair, but we're going back like 5-6 years now, and he'd been studying for 3 years under a bunch of different instructors. He came to me within 2 months of working with me back then. He got really good, and he left completely. Got a girlfriend, that was it. He moved up to Seattle and did his own thing. And he contacted me, just broke up with that girlfriend that he's been in a relationship with for goodness knows how many years. And he said, hey man, I only did a couple of months of training with you, got a girlfriend and left, and I've just realized I never really cemented everything. Can I come back and do it again with you? Can I keep training? And I was like, sure, if that's what you want to do. He goes, this time I don't want to jump into a relationship, I really want to settle it down. Within 1 month, he's literally got 5 girls that he's juggling now. And it's because of this concept of rather than me telling him, you should do it just like me, I'm telling him, we're going to find your own way, we're going to work, what works for you. And I found that success, the success that students see from that, is massive. It's such a big difference, I'll give you an example. Imagine You got a particular student, one of my favorite students, I had this guy in New York, and my instructors were working with him, they came up to me and said, we can't help him, Adam, this guy, he can't be helped. And I was like, well, why can't he be helped? And they were like, well, to be real, he's Indian. And I'm like, how's that thing, man? How is that? And he goes, no, you don't understand. He's from India. I'm like, right, okay, well, what are we going to do? And what do you mean, what are we going to do? I was like, we teach him, we help him. And they were like, well, we can't. He's got a funny accent, he's short, he's overweight. It can't be done. And I was like, you guys for real? This is your job. Like, you're instructors, you're handpicked by this company, given to me, supposed to be my team. And like, you're just going to give up on this guy? And so I sit down with the guy and I work with him. And it's one of my favorite stories. It was one of the first times that I realized that maybe the way we teach isn't the best, and that there could be a better way. And I started working with him, and I started trying to get him to do the regular things. But with his accent, things just didn't come out quite right. You know, if he went up to a girl and he was like, "Hello, I just want to tell you, you're really beautiful." Like, girls are just has a bad Indian accent, but you get the point. And the girl was like, "Okay, thank you. Like, thank you, tourists. All right, whatever." And then he was like, "Why are they not, you know, when this cool blonde surfer dude goes up to girls and tells them, 'Hey, I just want to let you know you're really beautiful,' they're like melting." But when he did it, it wasn't working. And I was like, well, for you it's probably different. We should do something different. And so I started thinking, well, I've never had an Indian accent. I've never had to deal with that. I've never been short. You know, I've been overweight, but I've not been short. How do I help this guy? And I started trying to think, what does he have to do to get good? Not, what would I do if I was him? What does he have to do? And it's a very different way of thinking. And so for the last few years, I've kind of focused on really trying to understand the psychology of what makes individual people attracted to individual people. And he was, the reason I love this story is, you know, not bragging, but humble brag, I suppose. On the very first night that I worked with him, he got laid. And it was one of the best results we've ever had. Like, within literally 2 hours of working with this guy, I took him from a guy who'd only have sex with one girl in his life to having a one-night stand. Now, I don't credit myself for that. I'm not like, I did that. He did that. All I did was remove some of the shit that was in his head that stopped him from being able to do it. Ironically, his method, the way he was going about it, was the right way. There were just some things he was doing wrong that was weeding people out. So what I did was I analyzed him, I removed some of the shit, and that made him better. And I realized that one of the biggest things that hold people back is actually not what we need to learn, but the crap you've got to get rid of. You're already good. Like, somewhere you know what it looks like, you know how to do this, but there's some crap that's like plugged up. It's like having a pipe and there's sewage inside it, right? And then here's the worst thing. Every time you come and listen to a new speaker, and they go, this technique, it's the most powerful thing, you're going to learn it. Now you're going to add that. So you're talking to a girl, and instead of being the cool, you know, everyone's like, be yourself, right? You can't be yourself if you've got to add all this other shit that you're going to try and remember and say. But on the other hand, there are guys like, but when I'm myself, it doesn't work. What they mean is, when they're themselves and they're full of all this shit, it doesn't work. When that shit's gone, it works. So I'll tell you one of my hang-ups, one of my issues. And I remember it clear as day. I am 12 years old, and I'm in school, and there's a super cute girl, her name's Samantha, and I had a crush on Samantha. I had a crush on Samantha like you can't believe. Every day at school, I would stare at Samantha and I'd smile at her. And she would smile back at me. For those in the audience, what's that called? You smile at a girl, she smiles back at you, what is that?
Attraction.
Attraction? Right, straight away, attraction, right? Anyone else?
IOI,
right, indicator of interest. We all know, if you smile at a girl and she smiles back at you, that's attraction. I now know, I don't care what happened, I don't care what I thought at the time. I know that was attraction. I know it without a doubt. I've seen it so many times, my students, myself, that's attraction. My 12-year-old self, you know what he thought? It was attraction. My 12-year-old self was 100% convinced she liked me. So, sure enough, I get the, hey dude, what's up man? So I get the guts to go out there and basically say to her, you know, I'm attracted to you. Sorry, I'm just going to let these guys go.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah, for sure. So I basically decided I'm going to get the guts to go up to her and I'm going to ask her out. And I see her in the corridor with two of her friends. And I say to her, I'm like, hey Sam, we've got the school dance coming up. would you like to go with me? She doesn't answer. Her two friends either side of her go, with you? Why would she go with you? And I look at her and she still doesn't answer. And she's like, you know, and they leave. So you know what I learned? I learned something that day. What was it? One of you guys put it together. What did I learn?
Don't ask to get fun of her two friends.
No, that's not what I learned. That's what I should have learned. But what did I really learn? If any of you know about classical conditioning, the psychology of classical conditioning is people make an association. So let's keep that story, hold it there, let's go into classical conditioning. And this is what I was saying about like teaching psychology. You've got little Alfie, I think it was little Alfie, little Alfred, little Albert, doesn't matter, it's little Al, let's call him that for now. He's a little kid. And what happens is the psychologists, back in like the 60s or 70s probably, they wanted to do a study to find out what would happen if every time little Alfie touched a bunny rabbit, they got a pair of cymbals and clashed them behind his head. Guess what happened to little Alfie?
He won't touch rabbits.
Oh yeah, he don't like bunny rabbits no more. He also developed a fear of clouds, any cuddly white animal or toy, and Q-tips. Completely petrified. Anything that was white and fluffy for his whole life. Right? Psychologists gave him free therapy for life because of what they did to him. But he had this crazy, couldn't go outside if there were white clouds in the sky. Right? Had to go and live somewhere with no clouds. They classically conditioned him to create an association between fluffy bunny rabbits and being scared. So I learned, when I see attraction, it's not there. Bingo. That's what I learned. That was one of my hang-ups. That's something I learned. So throughout this whole process, I learned, if I go back to like the shit that I was taught in pickup, I was taught wear a fireman's hat. I was taught insult women. I was taught run up to girls and pretend to fall in front of them and then laugh. I was taught tell every girl you meet that you actually want to have sex with them. I was told all this bullcrap that just added on top of the shit that was already there, when in reality all I had to do was just take it away. Just, hey, you know what, Adam? When a girl looks at you and she's attracted, she's attracted. Sometimes her friends will make her act in ways that she doesn't really want to. But that's social pressure, and that's a thing. Deal with that. So, every one of you, if you're in this room, something fucked up. You have a bad connection somewhere in your head. You're not seeing things clearly. And giving you more shit doesn't help. Removing it helps. Who here genuinely feels they have approach anxiety? 1, 2, 3, 4, is it 5? With the hands again up, like 6. So a few guys have approach anxiety. My friend's got a really strong theory on this. None of you really have approach anxiety. None of you do. What you have is a mixture of two things. One, you have stranger anxiety, which everybody has as a child. Stranger anxiety says, every time you went to talk to a stranger, what did your parents tell you?
Don't talk to strangers.
Don't talk to strangers. Don't talk to strangers, don't do that. You're raised that way. Every time you went to talk to a stranger, don't bother that person. Leave them alone. Stop tugging on their coat. You don't know who they are. Right? So you were literally taught, don't talk to strangers. So you don't have a fear of talking to beautiful women. You have a fear of talking to strangers. That's what it really is. That's ultimately what it is. But there's another side of it. And the other side of it is, there's not really that many really beautiful women that are worthy of you changing the course of your day to go and talk to them. Pickup says, if you see a girl and you think you might like to date her or whatever, you should go and talk to her. But how often do you truly see a really, really beautiful girl and you're like, you know what, I was going to go to work, but instead I'm going to cross the road and I'm going to talk to this beautiful girl. How often do you actually think it? I know that pickup may have made you do it, but how many of you like, do I really want to do this? Right? There you go, now I'm seeing the smiles, right? You're like, fuck that, I don't really want to do it. But if she was, let's take it again. If you went home for Thanksgiving, or for Christmas, or whatever you went home for the holidays, if you're home, and there was a really hot girl in your house, and she was a friend of one of your cousins or something, would you ignore her all night? Oh, all these guys with approach anxiety, so I'm like, no, I wouldn't ignore her, I'd go and talk to her. And why is that? Why is that now okay? Because it's stranger anxiety. You're not scared of beautiful women, you're scared of strangers. If you met her in any other setting, your balls would suddenly become made of steel. That's normal, right? What people do in pickup, that's fucking weird. It's weird to do that. Can it be done? Yes, but it's strange. So when you're learning that skill, you're teaching yourself to do something that is against your natural nature that you've been raised to believe and that all humans have been raised to believe forever. Don't bug a stranger. You can. But there are other ways of doing it, better ways of doing it. And so one of the things that I'm teaching with students is rather than telling them, I want you running out and going out and meeting people on the streets, if they want to do that, sure, I'll teach them. If that's what somebody wants to do. But I'm getting them to analyze their life. Where are the women in your life? Where are the real women in your life? What kind of women do you really want to meet? What kind of women do you really want to hang out with? Like, and this is a big soul-searching experience I've done for myself. Over the last couple of years, I've learned what I want in a woman. And I've changed my life so that I only meet the kind of women that I want to be meeting. I only attract the kind of women I want to be attracting. I don't really want to deal with anyone else because it doesn't matter to me. And you know what I found? Since doing that, all the kind of women that I want to hang out with are really easy to find. To the point, like I said earlier, I don't have to go out and cold approach somebody. I go to a nightclub last night, and the hostess of the entire club, the number one girl that everyone wants to be with, who won an award at the AVNs for being like one of the top female performers of all time, comes up to me and says, hey Adam. And I've only met her a couple of times before, probably a total of 35 minutes is all I've met her in the past. But she walks up to me and talks to me. And I met her through someone else that introduced me to her. So I didn't even cold approach. Someone's just like, hey, you should totally meet Joanna. You need to meet this girl. So I didn't even have to do anything. There was no cold approaching involved. Someone just said, hey Adam, I thought you might like to meet this really hot porn star. Sure. Okay, that's a thing. Right? And so what I'm trying to work with people is, well, wouldn't that be so much cooler? Wouldn't that be a better way to meet people? A really normal, natural way. But the reason that's not happening is, again, there's some blocks. There's something fucking up in your life. I was talking to a guy in the elevator who's an accountant. I don't know anything about this guy. For all I know, he could be married, have kids. You know, I don't know anything about him. But I do know in general, your average accountant, not him specifically, but just any accountant, his life involves wake up in the morning, go to work, stay at work most of the day, come home really tired because he's had a hard day of work, maybe have a meal, hang out with his friends, play some video games, go online, check some stuff that he's doing, go to sleep. And that makes up about 5 days of the week. And then at the weekend, the only time that he's really got time to go out, like Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, he's got to get ready for the next day, and he's probably got chores and other things that have to happen. Friday and Saturday, he may go out with his friends. If he's a pickup artist, he has to weigh up, hang out with my friends, versus go and meet chicks. It's 2 days out of his week. There's a reason why most PUAs lose friendships when they start doing this stuff. They lose a lot of friends because they get their PUA friends, because if their friends don't want to go out and meet chicks, they're lame. So these people that you've been friends with for years, suddenly they're lame because they don't want to go out and meet girls, or they're holding you back, and they should just hang out with their PUA friends. Well, when I'm working with my students now, that's actually not what I teach. I think it's really good for them to hang out with their friends, because that's their friend group. Instead, I get them to try and cultivate how they can use that to meet women. And sometimes that does mean creating a separate thing that you do in order to meet women. You guys are with me so far, right? Okay, good. How's this sound? Does this like sound good stuff, or does it sound like, oh, I really just want a bunch of routines?
It's different.
Okay, good. All right, that's good. Different is good. That's what I'm after. So the question then is, where are the women? And so for this, I'm going to tell you about an argument I got in with a student 2 days ago. So my student texts me, and he says, hey Adam, that girl that I've had a crush on for a long time, I want to text her. We haven't spoken for 2 weeks, and I want to send her a text message. Do I have to bother using game, or can I just say what I want? That's what I say to him. What do you think I said to him? Can I just say what I want, or do I have to use game? What did I say to him?
You have to use game.
You have to use game. And he said, oh really? I can't just be myself? And I was like, you could be yourself, providing you also cared about her feelings and treated her like a human being. When you are being yourself, will you show her care and like you're thinking about her? Or will you just say, hey, what's up? And he goes, well, that's what I was saying. I was just going to say, hey, what's up? I was like, right, I get that. That may be yourself, but it's also fucking rude and shows you don't really care about who she is as a person. And unfortunately for you, there are two people in this interaction. There's you and her. And when you communicate with her, if you communicate with her in a way that makes it seem like there's only you, why would she want to talk to you? Let's let's forget you for a minute, let's go into the life of this really hot girl. How many men do you think she has in her life? Let's assume she's got 20 guys all trying to fuck her right now. Who's she gonna pick? The guy that says, hey, what's up? Or the guy that's like, oh my god, you know, how's your snowboarding classes done? Because apparently that's what she was doing. And I was like, dude, I don't want you to use game. I want you to think about her as a human being, and what you communicate with her should convey that you care about what she's doing. But don't make it up. I don't want you to communicate with her about a topic you don't care about. If she writes, oh my god, my new Instagram profile has a ton of guys commenting on it, I think that's great. Don't be like, yeah, I saw it, it's cool. What do you care about? If you care about Instagram, make it about Instagram. If not, what is it? And he goes, well, I like snowboarding, and she's just doing snowboarding classes. I was like, well, there it is, there's your message. And he goes, man, using game's hard work. I was like, this isn't game. Just forget the whole game routine thing. You're not doing that. You're just treating her like a human being. And believe it or not, that's attractive when you show somebody that they're a human being. And so this is what I was saying about like being yourself does come at the price of you have to question, who is yourself? Are you a selfish dick that just wants to fuck women? Because if that's what you are, then that's not going to fly. But on the flip side, if all you're doing is trying to suck up to her, then you're not conveying who you are at all, and you're just a shadow. And therefore she doesn't want that either. As a female, she genuinely wants a real human being who has his own thoughts, his own ambitions, his own ideas, and shit that he wants to do. And at the same time, he cares enough about her to ask, what does she want to do? And to think about things. And this balance is gone in this entire community. We get a bunch of guys who turn up who are shadows, who are just pining after women, doing whatever the woman wants to try and sleep with them, which if you think about it, is actually incredibly selfish. I'm going to pretend to be into everything you're into just so we can have sex. On the other hand, you got the guys that like, fuck women, doesn't matter what the girl wants, it's all about what the man wants. And she can take it or leave it. And these guys are doing great. They're having sex with a whole bunch of girls that basically don't have any self-respect and will just fuck the guy because whatever. Right? And these guys get laid and they show off. They go, look at this is great, this girl's got no self-respect. She'll try to fuck me even when I say that she's a dirty bitch. Right? And that's what we have here. And I'm overgeneralizing, there are differences for sure. But my point is, true attraction, when you are at your most attractive, is when you care about what you care about, and you're not afraid to say it, but you also care about what she cares about. Now, a big problem that a lot of guys have is they are not in touch in any way with what females are into. Not in any way. Now, sometimes that's okay. I got a really good friend of mine, she's super hot, and she likes MMA, she likes drinking beer, she likes watching American football, and there are a bunch of guys who would think that she is the perfect girl. And those girls exist. They're rare, but they exist. Where could you find them? If you really wanted to find those girls, where would you find them?
Bars.
Anywhere.
MMA tournaments.
Bam! That's where they'd be. Right? Like straight up, right? How many dudes are like, man, I really want a girl that will like watch MMA with me and like watch American football, so I'm gonna go to the mall today and do some day game. The fuck, dude? Right? No, you're not gonna find your girl there. That's not where your girl is, man. Like just think about it. So when I work on my students, I get them to think. Where is your girl? Where do you find her? It's like if you really like salmon, don't go to the ocean. That's just dumb. You may find a salmon that's lost. but you are probably going to find a whole bunch of other fish that you do not want. Just go to a river where the salmon are swimming upstream and just have a net and just catch them as they jump in. Like, go where the women are. But if you have no connection to women whatsoever, if literally all you do is play video games and do accounting, if that is your life, then you are only going to meet the women at your work and the women that come over your house and play video games. Right? And that's why people are like, you should get out there and you should pick up chicks. So then they go to the mall hoping to make it work. No, that's if you really love accounting and you really love video games, where are the girls? Go to the League of Legends tournament that was at the Staples Center that was sold out and 20% of the audience are female. Right? Go there, go where the girls are. Go, take initiative. Don't just sit in your house and play video games. Go out and meet women. Like, I'm getting paid to go to PAX this year to train a private student who wants to meet gamer girls. He says to me, I want to meet gamer girls. Where do I meet them? I was like, at gaming conventions. Because that's where they all go. And he goes, well, can I pay you to train me at a gaming convention? I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, you can pay for me to go to PAX, buy my ticket, pay for me to train you, we'll go to PAX, we'll play video games, and you can meet gamer girls. And he goes, really? I was like, yeah, I can introduce you to like 20. He's like, why? I was like, because I'm friends with a whole bunch of gamer girls. This is the easiest thing in the world. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. It's so easy. That's the kind of girl that he wants, right? And if he really wanted accountancy chicks, if that's what he wanted, where should he go?
Convention.
Accounting conventions, right? Or accounting meetup groups, right? Go where accountancy people are. Go to bars where accountants go. And they exist. Like, there'll be a group of accountancy firms and they'll all go to the same bar or the same lunch spot. That's where you go and game. Now you're thinking. You're streamlining it. And suddenly, what do I say to a girl? I ran out of things to say. Bullshit! You're an accountant who plays video games and you met a girl at an accountancy convention. You have so much to talk about. Things I could never talk about. Like balancing books and numbers and things I don't understand. And if you go to a video game convention, you can meet video game girls. You can talk about things I do understand. Like Sonic the Hedgehog and Mario and League of Legends and Dota and all these other cool things I understand. You see what I'm saying? So a big part of it is you've got this shit in your head and you are adding more shit and instructors are getting paid to put more shit in your head, which slows you down even more. A friend of mine gave a great analogy. It's one I use whenever I'm looking for a new student. It's one I use. Imagine trying to climb Mount Everest, and you've hired a guide, and the guide says to you, dude, I'm going to hook you up and give you everything you need. First of all, you need this axe, but in these situations, you need this one, this one, this one. You're also going to need this backpack. It gets cold up there, so you need these clothes and spare clothes. You need a tent. You need this. He just gives you all this shit to carry, just in case. And then he says, I'm charging you by the hour. Let's start climbing. And you've got all this crap, and you're like, dude, this is really hard work. And he goes, do you want to see how I do it? And you're like, sure. And then he runs up, not carrying anywhere near as much stuff, with a friend of his that he brought along, so he doesn't have to do half the work anyway. And you're like, wow, it looks really easy for you. And you're carrying all this shit up this hill, and it's like completely slowing you down. And so what I say to my students now is, I don't work that way anymore. I don't charge by the hour. I charge just like a fee, like a one-off fee to get you the result. And then I just get you the result. And so it's the equivalent of me saying, it's a one price, I'm just going to get you to the top of the hill. And the fastest way up the hill is for you to stop carrying all that shit, because that's slowing you down. And I need to get you up the hill really quickly, because I have to find somebody else to take up the hill again, because otherwise I run out of money. So I have to keep running up and down the hill all the time, right? And I find it's a better way of teaching. It's a much better way of doing it. And so that's how I've been going about things. So right now, every single one of you has a unique problem, which is why you're still in this room. And the problem is, you're being given a general answer. And so, what I'm going to do is, before we started here, I actually asked some of the guys in the room, what are some things that you would like to know? But I hadn't told you this first, so I didn't give you the information that may change the question that you have. So I'm going to answer some of the questions, and I want you to think. Right now, forget everything you've ever learned in pickup. Try not to talk to me with phrases like DLV or IOI or when I'm in a two set, how do I handle this situation? Just scrap that. Try and scrap it. And just think, what do you really want right now? Like, what do you really want in your dating life? What do you need that next week you're like, wow, I got a lot of spare time because I don't need to go and pick up chicks anymore. Or, I'm going to go and pick up chicks because I know exactly what to do and I know exactly how to go about it. And I'm aware it's going to take time, but at least I know what I'm working towards, right? So we need to think about that. So I'm going to answer one of the questions while we're thinking, then we'll go around and we'll do these questions. So one of the first questions was asked was, how did I used to bring a lot of girls to a club? And now I hope you realize that, number one, if you don't want to bring a lot of girls to a club, this question is completely useless to you, so I don't even want you to try and remember it. And number two, I want you to realize this is how I did it. And it may not work for you. This may not be the best way. The way I did it was really simple. I would go to a club with 6 women who were all friends of mine, because I realized it was a lot easier for me to pick up girls when I had girls around me. The minute I worked that out, I stopped hanging out with dudes. Instantly stopped hanging out with dudes. I had one wingman who was male, and he could only come out with me because he would bring women. Any other male that wanted to come with me had to bring 5 to 10 women or I didn't want to hang out with them. Not because I was like, I want your girls, but because I didn't want them to have my girls. Because I'm going to bring 6 to 15 girls myself. But that's mine. And if 3 other dudes turn up, my 6 girls is 2 for everybody. And I don't want that. Because I don't want to compete with other males for my own women. They're mine. If I go to a club with 6 girls, I've got a really good chance of taking 2 of them home. Really good chance. Whereas if somebody else comes up, we might end up competing and the whole thing falls apart. So understand this is how I did it. I would go to a club with 6 to 15 girls, and the club manager would stand at the door and he'd be like, wow man, every time you come in you bring a lot of women. And I was like, yeah, that's because I have a lot of female friends. And one day I went to a club and the guy said to me, he said, hey, you come tomorrow? I'm like, I'm not coming tomorrow, I'm tired, I don't want to go tomorrow. He goes, you have to. And I was like, ha, no I don't. And he goes, no you do. And I'm like, you're club door guy, you don't tell me what days I come to the club. I tell me what days I come to the club, not you. And he goes, well, I'll pay you. I was like, fuck off. You're going to pay me to come to your club? And he goes, yeah, I'll give you 2 bottles of vodka, plus mixers, a bottle of Cristal, and £10 for every hot girl you bring through the door. But every ugly girl you bring, I'm going to dock you £10. And I was like, all right, what's hot? And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, what's hot? Everyone's got different, what's hot? I was like, because if you tell me, like, this chick's hot, you're going to have like 100 girls tomorrow. And he goes, if you can bring me a girl that hot, he's like, I'll pay you for 100 girls. So I was like, okay. So I went away, I got some friends, came up with 35 girls. It wasn't 100. We came up with 35 girls. You do the math, I made £350 for one night of going out. I got free vodka, free champagne, I got to party with a whole bunch of girls. I made £350 in a day. That equates to $350 effectively. Like, if you're living in London, £350 goes about as far as $350 for a day's work. And that day's work started at 7 p.m. I basically went out into the street and I would find groups of girls that promoters were trying to convince to go to a club. And I was like, hey, I'll put you on the list, I'll put you on the list. I'd go straight up to them and I'd be like, hey, just so you know, this guy's a douchebag. He's getting paid to bring you into the club and you're probably going to get stung on the door. I was like, I guarantee you free entry if you come with me and I'll give you free drinks when we get inside. And if you like Cristal, you'll be like, oh, me, I like it! And I'd be like, great, because we've got a whole bottle and I can never finish on my own. And the girl's like, I'm coming with you. It was the easiest value exchange in the world. There was no pickup involved. It was literally just, this is the deal that I've got, you should come. Now, a lot of people are going to hear that and they're going to be, Adam admitted, no pickup, ha ha! Here's no game. Except for the fact they forgot that I was already bringing 6 to 15 girls already. That was the bit of game. But when it comes down to actually picking up chicks, I think you should stop gaming as soon as possible. It's hard fucking work. I don't want to run out and pick up chicks. I don't want to use routines and lines. I want a never-ending supply. Like, imagine somebody saying to you, water doesn't count unless you drew it from the well yourself. Bullshit, I want to eat my tap. I don't want to think about my fucking water. I'm sorry, it's the same with sex. I don't want to work hard for my sex. I want to turn the tap on and sex arrives. That's how I want my sex, always. You know, and if one girl disappears, I want another one lining up, waiting, knocking on the door, being like, hey, is that girl gone yet? I want to suck your dick. I'm like, okay. That's how sex should be, as far as I'm concerned. Not everyone agrees with me, but that's what I want. So yeah, the minute somebody was offering me free bottles of Cristal to get girls in a nightclub, done. And that's how I did it. And then I got a reputation for only bringing the hottest girls because I would turn away fat girls at the door. I would do that. I was a complete dick, and I would stand at the front of the club, and every time there was an ugly girl, I would literally say to her, I'm sorry love, it's not happening, you're not coming tonight. She'd be like, but I was told it's free entry. I'm like, yeah, not for you, I'm sorry. My friends, you bring them in. I was like, I know honey, but not for you. I was like, why? Is it because I don't look good? And I was like, honestly, let me explain it to you. You're going to hate this. We're going to go inside, we're going to be in the VIP area. Opposite the VIP area is going to be the owner of the club. If he sees you in the VIP area, he's going to come up to you and he's going to ask how you're there. And if you are not A, a model, or B, paying, he's going to remove you from the club. I was like, I'm not being a dick, I'm saving you an embarrassment that's going to happen inside the club. I was one of the only guys who had the guts to basically say it as it was. And the truth is, that would happen. There was the owner of the club was inside, and if he saw an ugly girl in his VIP section, he would walk up to them and he'd be like, how did you get here? Are you a model? What agency are you with? And then the uglier girl would be like, yeah, but she's not a model, how does she get here? I was like, yeah, but she looks like one, so no one will question it. I was like, it's a sad fact, but that's how it is. The point is, you're not being a customer here, you're being offered a free service, and unfortunately the free service is only for girls who look like models. Because the owner of the club wants girls who look like models. And so I would have this, what you guys would call, I was talking to this guy about it earlier, a disqualification. I would disqualify girls straight away. I'd be like, if you're not hot, you're not getting in. And there are so many industries that are like that. If you think about like modeling, you know, photography, you've got like dancers, escorts. There's a lot of careers that have that line. Nightclubs want to have that line, but they don't always know how to be confident enough to say it. As a PUA who's learned disqualification and being the higher value and being comfortable with rejecting somebody, I had no problem doing it. So it became a really attractive trait in that industry. They'd be like, get Adam to do it. Adam, come here, stand on the door. Let the girls in. And I'd be like, you, not you, you. And that's literally what I would do. And then And then you make friends with some of the girls that aren't like at the level, and then those girls you'd be like, come on, come in the back way, don't worry about it, it's okay, you're a friend. But that's how the club works. And so I learned that entire industry, and I did it for years. And I got bored of it. I got bored of it because it's materialistic, it's fake, and half the people I hung out with, they didn't really want to hang out with. So that's how it's done. And I'm aware that I've just given away secrets that, not for pickup, because like I said, that's not really the question. Most of you guys should never do that. That is specifically, how does a high-end VIP nightclub work where they charge people, $1,000 for a table, minimum, We had guys that would go in and drop 15 grand on a table, totally okay, And so that's how that industry works. Another question I got asked is, how do you make short sets do well? If you've got a short interaction, how do you make that last long? And again, advice number one, don't do short sets. Just don't do it. If you've got a couple of minutes, do something else. Why is that random chick you've just seen worth 2 minutes of your time? She's probably not. How is she that special? But if you've already decided that that's what you're going to do, and you've only got 2 minutes, then your best chance of success is going to be to have an interaction with her and know that it is instantly going to turn to text. So one of the best games, one of my students invented, I didn't invent it, but it's a great idea. He would go up to a girl and he'd be like, hey, you're part of the text party. And she'd be like, what's the text party? And he goes, it's a private nightclub, but it's only via text. He goes, you text each other what happens. And she'd be like, oh my god, that sounds so stupid. He goes, it's really fun, watch. What's your number and I'll text you. And so he would start texting the girl, and he'd basically be like, oh my god, look at that douchebag in the corner. And she'd be like, what douchebag? He would look in the corner of the train, he's singing to himself. And he would start picking on people in the room where they are, like on the train or what have you, via text. And then the minute they separate, so they're already texting while sitting next to each other. So they've stopped speaking already. And then when she gets off the train, he would just communicate by text. He'd be like, have a nice day, keep me updated with everything that happens. And he would start taking pictures of people on the train and sending her pictures and laughing about it. He'd be like, look at this creepy guy, wait. And he would like take a picture of himself smiling at the creepy guy in the background. He goes, this is the biggest ass crack I've ever seen. And so it became a fun game in the phone. So that interaction that was short suddenly became great. But again, I am not advocating you should do this. And it's another thing you've just added to your head of, wow, that's a cool thing I could do. Forget that. Just do the thing that's going to get you the result the fastest. Most of the students that I'm working with now, our goal is to get them very good very quickly and get them out. That's it. Just get good and goodbye. And the way we're doing it is by really analyzing the student and working out, what's their problem. So now you've had some time to think about it. Who here's got who knows what they want? When it comes to dating, what do you really want? You, not what pickups told you want, not what seduction industry has told you. What do you really want? What would you love to have? Quickly, go for it. Somebody.
I want an Asian and.
Okay, good things. What do you want to do with them?
Have them around.
Just friends.
No, they know that I'm both with them, and they know each other, and they're cool with it.
Okay. All right. So we have to. So it sounds crazy, right? This is actually a really easy thing to do. It's actually not hard in any way. So the first thing is you've got to break it down. How often do you set up relationships where you're in an open relationship and you can have sex with both people? How often does that happen to you?
It's never happened. That's
never happened. So before we can start pinpointing what type of girl, we should probably start making sure that starts happening. So how often do you tell a girl that that is the only way you'll have the relationship? I'm going to guess never.
Yeah.
Never, right? So why does he never get it? Because he never says, this is how it's going down. You know why? Because up to now, you've not had the testicles to say, either you're okay with me fucking other people, or we ain't getting together. That takes a lot of nuts. Because you literally have to put your nuts on the table in front of the girl and hand her a hammer. And here, just so you know, right now, either you're okay with fucking these nuts, and I'm going to share them with somebody else, or not. Be nice with the hammer, right? That's basically what you're doing. And you got to have that level of confidence. And a lot of guys, what happens is they meet a really hot girl, or a girl they're really attracted to, and suddenly they're like, oh my god, but if I say this, I won't be able to have sex with her. Right? So the first step is you've got to learn how to say that. And so if I was gonna work with you specifically on this problem, the focus would be on how to talk to girls about things you really want to talk about to separate those kind of women. So I've got to a point in my life where I only really am interested in girls that want to have sex with other girls. If a girl isn't interested in having multiple sex, I just don't really care about it. And so I've done some things, and I've got some specific conversational things to myself that make it that the average girl who would want a committed relationship without sharing me with somebody else wouldn't be attracted to me. And this was a really, as a pickup artist, this was a very hard thing to do. To basically remove myself from a certain group of women. To basically say, yeah, I am going to struggle to attract these women ever again. Could I do it? Sure, but it'd be hard work. And I've done that on purpose. Specifically so that other girls will be like, holy shit, that's the kind of guy that I want to be with. And so you're going to be doing that. Because in your conversation, any girl who just wants to date you and doesn't want to share you is going to be, fuck no. Like, I'm out of here. And so your job is going to be just a little bit harder because you've got to basically make it clear at the beginning. So I would start, for you specifically, by getting, how often do you talk about sex when you meet a girl?
Very rare.
Right. From now on, if you're not talking about sex within 30 seconds, it's not even worth having the interaction. Because the kind of girls that are going to be okay with sharing you with other people will be very sexual. Will be very cool about sex, because to them, think about it. The kind of girl that's okay with sharing you sexually, sex to them is disconnected from marriage and love, and they are capable of enjoying recreational sex. Sex doesn't have to be love and relationships with it. So the person who has separated sex from that in their head is someone who can just talk about it. Like, sex is fun, I love sex. Like, it's going to be somebody who is very in touch with themselves sexually. Somebody who masturbates, for example. You know, there are a lot of girls that are like, oh no, or they won't admit that they masturbate or whatever. Like, you need someone who masturbates and is cool with it. It's like, yeah, I fucking masturbate, I love it, I watch porn all the time. That's the kind of girl you need. So a big part of your conversation, you can start this straight away at the beginning of your interactions. One of the things you should start talking about is that. So for example, last night, I went to a fetish club. That's where I met the porn star, that's where I was there. And so we go to this club, and people were literally like spanking each other and pulling tits out. It was a crazy scene. And not that I went there to partake in it, but I went there because it's kind of like a fun vibe and it was something to do, and it's really fun to watch. But also, every single girl in that venue is going to be that kind of girl. Every single one is going to tailor that way. Now, 99% of the women there aren't going to be attractive enough to me and not going to be the kind of things that I want. But the conversation about the fact that I went there last night will help me identify the other girls that are okay with it. So when I meet a girl in Starbucks, and I'm like, this girl's kind of cute, I'm going to start chatting to her, and I start talking to her, and I say, hey, what did you get up to last night? It was Friday night, what'd you do? And she's like, oh, I went to such and such club, but don't you find most clubs boring? She's like, yeah, I found a club that wasn't boring last night. Oh my god, what was it like? I don't think I can tell you. Why? You're going to freak out, scream, run, and be like, no, I can't handle it, you're too weird and crazy for me. And so it's best that I just tell you that I went to Starbucks last night, like I am right now. And then the girl's like, no, I'm not like that at all. You watch, you tell me anything, I'll prove to you I'm totally cool with being crazy. Okay? Bam. You with it? It's like today. So I moved to LA, I just moved here, and I just hired a new helper, like an assistant in my house. And I have hung out with my assistant for about 4 hours. And today we spoke about strap-on dildos fucking girls. We spoke about stripping. We spoke about like anal sex, orgies. That was our topic of conversation today. You know why? Because if she is not okay with talking like that, at some point she's going to see me teaching a student, and the student's going to turn up to my class, or to my house, and the student's going to be like, yeah, so this spanking school that I'm trying to set up in Sweden, which I've helped somebody do before, and she's going to be like, where am I? You know, but my assistant has to hear stuff like that and be like, okay, this is totally acceptable, right? So right away, every time I met my assistants, I was fishing for this. I was like, is this going to be okay? So I knew within the first hour, yeah, this girl's going to be cool with that. And that was important. So you got the same thing. So you need to start right at the beginning, identifying these kind of women, and you're going to do that by talking about sex at the beginning. And this is where a technique would come in. If I find out exactly what that student wants, then all we would work on is, here's how to talk about sex at the beginning of a conversation. Here's how to talk about sex. And then you would go out and you would talk to girls about sex, and you would get rejected about 60% of the time. Because there's going to be a whole bunch of girls that are just like, why the fuck are you doing this? You're weird and creepy. And the more you do it, your success rate will get better and better and better. Why? Why will it improve?
I'll be more comfortable with the idea.
Yes, and you will learn to spot the women who are okay with it. You'll look at a girl and be like, you know what, there is no point talking to a 40-year-old soccer mom. because she's probably not going to be okay with this. Instead, I'm going to talk to the 23-year-old alternative chick. You with it?
Yeah.
And so teaching you, that's what we would focus on. Fuck all the other shit, it doesn't matter anymore. It's like, what's the point? Because if we focus on that, you're going to get your result so much faster. Once you've got that, then we can talk about how do we get the Hispanic, how do we get the Asian. And of course, to get the Asian chick, you're going to go where? Colleges, I mean, right? You're in SoCal, you're in a good area for it, right? But like, you're gonna start pinpointing places where there's gonna be Asian
DTLA.
Yeah, DTLA, exactly, downtown. Downtown's where I would think. Like
Yeah,
Koreatown, like, yeah. Koreatown, downtown, those kind of places. You know, the college campus is probably going, so that's how you're gonna start picking it. And again, for the Hispanic chicks, you're gonna do a similar kind of thing. You're gonna find the areas where they hang out, and that's where you're gonna start pinpointing. Or you're going to go the other way and you're going to go to like swingers parties and you're going to go to fetish clubs. You go to clubs where the girls are already pre-qualified to like that stuff, and then you're going to learn how to game there, which is completely different to learning how to game in a shopping mall, in the Grove. It's not the same, you know? Go to a fetish club and try and pick up one of the porn stars. Oh, pick up a porn star. Porn stars will totally be into that. You know, porn stars have recreational sex. You know, they literally sex them it's their job. They don't give a fuck about it. They just fuck anyone for fun. Like I've got one of my friends who's a porn star literally says, if I've hung out with a guy often enough, I feel I should have sex with him just because we're friends. like that. They view sex differently, you know.
Yeah.
So cool. I hope that helps.
It
It gives you a guide. Cool. Next question. Somebody else have a question?
I could follow up on that is, you know, handling the rejection would be, I think, the second phase, because the rejection doesn't necessarily have to be a disaster. God forbid you come across someone who's different, you know, you have different tastes with her. In my experience anyway, if that happens and there's, you know, items that they don't meet on your list, why not just be friends, you know? If the interaction goes well and, you know, just because there isn't sexual attraction, if she meets all the standards that you have for friends, you know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah, exactly. It's totally okay. In fact, I'll tell you a time I got rejected, like quite recently. It was really funny. I meet this girl in Barnes & Noble, we get chatting, and just so you guys know, I say rejected, I was literally thinking friends, like it wasn't anything else like that. And I was talking to her about film. We were in a film section, and she was talking about film, and she is an assistant to a big film director. And I was like, that's a good connection. So we became friends, and we agreed to go and have a Starbucks. And so we start texting, and she texts me, and she's like, what's your last name? And so I go, okay, I'll tell you my last name, but just before you Google me, just so you know, you may not like half the stuff you see. Whether you like it or not is going to tell you whether you and I are going to get on. And so she's like, trust me, whatever I see, I'm probably going to be okay with. And I was like, I'm not so sure about that, but you know, let's see how it goes. So she Googles me, and then she comes back and goes, why the fuck didn't you tell me you're a seducer? And I was like, because I'm male, I kind of figured that went with territory, and besides, I'm not hitting on you. She goes, you invited me to a Starbucks. I was like, right. I have also taken my dad to a Starbucks and other friends to Starbucks. I was like, just to be clear, I was talking to you about film. Did you find the part where I make films? And she goes, yeah. But how do I know that's not fake and you're just doing that so that you can seduce people? I was like, are you asking me did I get into film to sleep with women? Because I'm not the only guy on that list. Like, trust me. Like, I promise you your director is thinking that as well. Right? Like, I was like, look, and so we get on the phone and we start talking, and she's like flipping out, and she goes, you have an obligation to tell me these things before we agree to swap phone numbers. I was like, what did you do before you became a director? She goes, why does it matter? I was like, well, that's my point. My point is you didn't feel the need to tell me what you were doing before this current career thing. We were going to meet up to discuss networking and film, and we were going to try and help each other out. I was like, you're looking for work right now from your previous place, and I've got people that would employ you, and I'm looking to get connected with your previous employer. This is a very straight up win-win. You are freaking out about the dating thing because you think I'm trying to sleep with you, and I am not trying to sleep with you. If anything, you should understand, the skill set I have means I could fuck whoever the fuck I wanted. And I don't want to fuck you. There's other people I can fuck. It's not you. Relax. You're fine. You're safe. And she's like, well, I feel betrayed about the whole thing. I was like, whatever. I was like, I really don't care at this point. I was like, have a great life. So that's the kind of rejection you get. And for me, it was just hysterical. Like, it was just really funny to talk to somebody who was upset that I was hitting on them when I wasn't in any way they weren't hot. Like there was no interest for me in having sex with that person. But they obviously felt that, that I was trying to play them or what have you. But there's no need. If I want to fuck somebody, I'm just going to be like, hey, this is who I am. I'm a seduction guy, blah, 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 blah. I only like women that fuck other women. What's the deal? Let's hang out. And then she's like, no, I don't like that. I'm like, cool, no problem. We can be friends. You're just very cool with it and very okay, So when you do start getting rejected like this, you got to realize they are not rejecting you in so much as confirming that they are not the people you should be hanging out with. That's what's going on. And so for me, learning attraction isn't about memorizing a set of lines or adding new stuff. It's about, one, identifying what I really want, identifying the shit in my head that stopped me from going back to it, and then two, am I a good person? Am I somebody who women want to talk to, want to be around? Do you guys know what the most attractive qualities in a male are? Like truly, if you ask women, what do they look for in a male? There's like 6. 6 things a woman really wants. We've got a woman, I've never met you before, right? Have we ever met before?
Well, we talked on Facebook yesterday.